How is the regulatory environment expected to change here under Jeff Sessions, Department of Justice, say? Is the likelihood greater or less here? Has it been perceived as greater or less here under a Trump administration?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of investors have looked at a Trump administration as being, loosening regulations, and the possibility of more M&A, for example, would be a more realistic possibility under a Trump administration. Certainly with Republicans in control, it would be more of a pro-business standpoint. But what our sources are telling us is that Donald Trump hasn't changed his position that he stated back in October during the presidential campaign when he spoke about the AT&T-Time Warner deal and said that he was opposed to it and would try to block it.
How much is his dislike of the media tied into all of this?
It's hard to tell. I mean, he certainly, has criticized CNN for what he sees as unfair coverage of him, and CNN is owned by Time Warner. So, you could read into that possibly as being part of his rationale for why he might be opposed to that.
These are two companies with huge lobbying spends in Washington, D.C. What do we know about how they've made this case? Not only to the Obama administration, it was widely perceived that this regulatory decision would happen under the next president, but to the president-elect. Have we seen an increase in lobbying spending? How are they making the case in Washington, D.C.?
Well, they made the case in early December. There was a congressional hearing where the CEOs of AT&T and Time Warner really laid out their case for why they think this deal should get approved, and they've stated a lot of different reasons for it. The fact that they say they would better compete in online advertising with tech companies like Google and Facebook. They've talked about how this would make it easier to have channels available on smartphones. Really just helps them sort of adapt to the changing landscape, and they've really tried to position this as a pro-consumer deal.